Hare Krishna.
Jai Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. What exactly is our verse number today?
It appears that we are on Adi 1371.
Okay. Good. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Binda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astotar Satashri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Brindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi ki jai, Jamuna Mayi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, and welcome everyone to Sri Caitanya Charitamrita with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Thursday, April 24th, 2025 in New York, and we're picking up today with Caitanya Charitamrita Adi-lila, Chapter 13, The Advent of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, starting today with text number 71. And if anyone would like to read and comment, please let me know in the chat window, or just let me know. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Just to recap, last verse we read was, with this consideration, Advaita Acharya Prabhu, promising to cause Lord Krishna to descend, began to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna with tulsi leaves and water of the Ganges. That was text 70. And now text 71. Krishnera avanakare saghana hunkara, hunkare akrishta hoila brajendra kumara. By loud cries, he invited Krishna to appear, and this repeated invitation attracted Lord Krishna to descend. Anything you'd like to say, Maharaj, before we move on toward?
Nothing from me.
Jagannatha Mishra Patni Shachira Udare Ashtakanya Krami Hoila Janmi Janme Mare. Before the birth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 8 daughters took birth, one after another, from the womb of Shachi Mata, the wife of Jagannath Mishra. But just after their birth, they all died. Apatya virahe Mishrera duki hoilaman, putra lagi aradhila Vishnura charan. Jagannath Mishra was very unhappy at the death of his children one after another. Therefore, desiring a son, he worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Tabe putra janamila Vishvarupanam Mahagunavantena Baladeva Dham. After this, Jagannath Mishra got a son of the name Vishvarupa, who was most powerful and highly qualified because he was an incarnation of Baladev. Purport: Vishvarupa was the elder brother of Gaurahari, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When arrangements were being made for the marriage of Vishvarupa, he took sannyas and left home. He took the sannyas name of Shankararanya. In 1431 Shakabda era, AD 1509, he disappeared in Pandharpur in the district of Sholapur. As an incarnation of Sankarshan, he is both the ingredient and immediate cause of the creation of this material world. He is none different from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for the Angsha and the Angshi, or the part and the whole, are not different. As an incarnation of Sankarshan, Vishvarupa belongs to the quadruple manifestation of Chaturvyuha. In the Gaura Chandrodaya, it is said that Vishvarupa, after his so-called demise, remained mixed with Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This purport for me raises more questions than it answers, especially when Prabhupada says he's non-different from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for the Angsha and the Angshi, or the part and the whole, are not different. So he's an incarnation with Vishvarupa. He's an incarnation of Sankarshana. So Sankarshana, he mentions here, is part of the Chaturvyuha of, these are Vishnu Tattva. And I understand, as I'm thinking about it more, there's a difference between, as he says here, the Angsha and the Angshi. It's different from the difference that exists between the part and parcel living entity, Jiva Shakti, and the Vishnu Tattva. Because he's Vishvarupa here he's Vishnu Tattva. He's part of the Chaturvyuha. So in the sense that he is not the Svayam Bhagavan original personality of Godhead Lord Sri Krishna, he's an incarnation of Sankarshan. He's not Krishna himself. So in that sense, I'm able to understand that he's Angshi, Angsha, or the part, rather than the whole. But that is, it's not a Chintya Beta Tattva. I learned this early on from Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, and I want to make sure I've got it clearly. When we speak of incarnations of the Lord, they are one. It is Krishna and his energies who are one and different. So this difference that exists between Angsha and Angshi, when it refers to the difference between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Lord Krishna and Sankarshana or Vishvarupa, I can't claim to understand it well enough to explain it very well. But Prabhupada does say something slightly more stabilizing to my mind toward the end of the purport, is that when Sri Vishvarup apparently passed away, he says, after his so-called demise, he remained mixed within Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So this is similar to what we hear in other instances of, say, for example, Lord Chaitanya merging with the deity of Tota Gopinath, or other incarnations of the Lord merging within one another for the purpose of different pastimes, as Nandanandana Krishna has his pastimes in Gokula Vrindavan. And then when he kills demons, the expansion of Vasudev within Krishna, or as mixed within Krishna, is the one who takes charge of those particular pastimes. It's all it's a very comprehensive and mind-blowing theology, and I suppose it should be. Maharaj, we'd love to hear from you if you have some things to say on this.
Thank you, Kendra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Nami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Astrata Deshatani. Yeah, this is incarnational high tech, understanding the subtleties or the the intricacies is better. The intricacies of these incarnations. Sankarshan is not different from Baladev. And then Shankararanya is, or Vishwarup, is not different from Sankarshan. So finally we get non-difference. And in that sense, he's not different from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's the prevailing sense that we get. Then we get this Angsha Angshi, which I think you correctly explained, in the sense that that the original is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or the original is Krishna himself, and therefore we get a partial manifestation in Sankarshan, in Vishwarup, or an extended manifestation, whereas the original is Krishna, or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Some other notes. This Pandharpur, Sholapur district is in Maharashtra, and Pandharpur is the abode of Lord Vittal, the Rukmini Vittal form of Krishna, very famous place and famous deity of the Lord. Pandharpur is often associated with the saint Tukuran. Our Lokanath Swami also comes from the Sholapur district. The ingredient and immediate causes, this is Nimitta and Upadan. This gets, again, a little technical, but the ingredient cause is material nature. And the immediate cause, or efficient cause, Prabhupada sometimes calls it, is the nimitta cause, is the personality of Godhead. The example given is that we have, when there's a pot, the ingredient cause, when a pot is being made, the ingredient cause is the mud, and the instrumental cause, or immediate cause, efficient cause, is the potter. So, yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And of course, obviously, we're seeing a mirror of Krishna's pastimes here, as Devaki lost 7 children. So the children of Sachimata are lost one after another. But then as Baladev appears in the womb of Devaki, so Vishwarup appears from Sachimata. But then he also is transferred, not to a different family, but he takes sannyas. In that sense, he joins the Achyuta Gotra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. First off, Praveen Krishna Prabhu offers that Lord Vittal is the presiding deity of Pandharpur. As you mentioned, there is an annual padayatra of lakhs of Tukaram followers from the whole of Maharashtra, who go on a walk of maybe about 180 kilometers to Pandharpur, all the way doing kirtan. One can know more about Pandharpur from Lokanath Maharaj's book, Bhu Vaikunta. And Murari Gupta Prabhu brings up a question that I also had in mind. Hare Krishna Maharaj, is there any information given about the 8 daughters of Mother Shachi?
Just that they died one after another. We don't hear any follow-up pastimes. No.
Saraswati Mata says, Pranams Param Puja Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. I recall that the Sri Vittal deity is Lord Vishnu in a two-armed form, very rare to form, a very rare form.
And more rare is that one can is allowed to touch the lotus feet of the deity, and one can also see the morning abhishek of the deity. And as Praveen Krishna mentioned more in Lokanath Maharaj's book.
Maharaj, is that somewhere you visited when you were on Padayatra?
Yes.
Yes. Prabhu echoes, probably the only deity allowed to touch foot. So we can move on without any other comments or chats. So text 75, Saraswati Mata, can you read text 75?
Yes. Baldeva Prakasha Paramavyamo Shankarshana Tenha Vishvara Upadana Nimita Karana. The expansion of Baldev, known as Sankarshan, in the spiritual world is the ingredient and immediate cause of this material cosmic manifestation. Maharaj, I'm not sure if you would like to make some comments on this, please.
Vasudev Bhagavatam from here has Sankarshan. He provides he's the source of the ingredients of the material nature, and he oversees or activates material nature. That's all.
Text 76. Tanha bai vishwa kichu nahi dekhiara, ateva vishwa rupa nama he tanhara. The gigantic universal form is called the Vishwarupa, incarnation of Mahashankarshan. Thus, we do not find anything within this cosmic manifestation except the Lord himself. Would you like me to continue, Maharaj?
Maybe just one more comment that earlier, I think it's in 5th chapter, there's an extended discussion of why the ingredient cause is not sufficient, why the nimitta karan is required. Essentially, matter can't do anything on its own. There has to be superior supervision. Ayadya chain of Prakati Sute, etc. Hare Krishna. And particularly for the presence of the living force in material nature. Without living force, material nature is inert. So the jivas are injected into the material nature, and the personality of Godhead oversees material nature. Hare Krishna.
Text 77. Nate chitram bhagavati hi ananta jagadeshwara otam protam idam yashmin tantusva anga yatha patha. As the threads in a cloth spread both lengthwise and breadthwise, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead exists directly and indirectly within everything we see in this cosmic manifestation. This is not very wonderful for him. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.15.35. Maharaj, would you like to say something about this?
Comprehensive otam protam. When you have a cloth, the woof and the warp, the vertical and horizontal threads are the substance of the cloth. Without them, there's nothing. So everything that exists is a manifestation of the personality of Godhead. Itar Tashtra Teshva Bhigya. Yes. Hare Krishna.
There's a question in the chat box.
What
Ross.
does direct and indirect refer to? Let's see. You see, it's not directly in the verse. But yeah, we'd have to go to the verse. Why don't we? 10, 15, 35 and see if there's some comment on that. Okay. Well, in the EBT Bhagavatam, there is no discussion of that. In the translation doesn't include a directly and indirectly, just vertical and horizontal threads. So directly and indirectly. I don't know, there's not a direct or indirect reference in the verse that I can see. So I'm not quite sure what Prabhupada means there. If we take the upadan and nimitta causes, the nimitta you can say is directly the personality of Godhead, and the the ingredient cause is indirectly the personality of Godhead. That's the separated energy of the personality of Godhead. So that could be offered as an explanation, but I don't know if that's what Prabhupada intended. Hare Krishna.
Praveen, Krishna Prabhu writes, could it mean that Krishna is indirectly present through his Paramatma feature?
Yeah, that we can advance so many different ideas of what it might mean, indirectly and directly. But we don't really know. So let's see one other thing. Yeah. I was thinking of Iteratas Charteshvu, Anvayad Iteratesh, directly and indirectly. He's the source of the cosmic manifestation. Let's see. Yes. Chanmadya Shiyaton, Anvayad Iterata, directly and indirectly. Let's see if there's any comment on that. I'm sure there is, but I don't know. I don't see anything here. He knows everything about the construction of the universe directly and indirectly. And he doesn't say more about it there. Doesn't directly comment on that, on Tirtas, and Vayada Tirtas. But except, I guess I would go back to what I said before, that he's directly present as the Paramatma, yes, or as the personality of Godhead, and then he's indirectly present through the ingredient cause, the material nature, or the living entities, who are also part of the living. Hare Krishna.
Mata, you can Go ahead if you like until we get to a sizable purport here.
Text 78. Ateva prabhutan re bale bada bhai, Krishna Balrama dui Chaitanya nitai. Translation. Because Mahashankarshan is the ingredient and efficient cause of the cosmic manifestation, he is present in every detail of it. Lord Chaitanya therefore called him his elder brother. The two brothers are known as Krishna and Balram in the spiritual world, but at the present moment they are Chaitanya and Nitai. Therefore, the conclusion is that Nityananda Prabhu is the original Shankarshan Baldev. Maharaj, if you would like to comment on this, please.
Nothing to add.
Text 79. Putra pane dampati hela anandita mana, vishesh sevana kare govinda charana. The husband and wife, Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, having gotten a Vishvarupa as their son, were very pleased within their minds. Because of their pleasure, they specifically began to serve the lotus feet of Govinda. Purport. There is a common saying in India that everyone goes to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and when he is in distress, rather. But when a person is in an opulent position, he forgets God. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.16, this is confirmed. Chaturvida bhajanti mam gnana shukritin arjuna artho jignashur artharthi gnani cha bharatarshabaha. If backed by pious activities in the past, 4 kinds of men, namely those who are distressed, those in need of money, those searching after knowledge, and those who are inquisitive, become interested in devotional service. The husband and wife, Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, were very unhappy because their 8 daughters had passed away. Now, when they got Vishvarupa as their son, certainly they became extremely happy. They knew that it was by the grace of the Lord that they were endowed with such happiness and opulence. Therefore, instead of forgetting the Lord, they became more and more adherent in rendering service to the lotus feet of Govinda. When a common man becomes opulent, he forgets God. But the more opulent a devotee becomes by the grace of the Lord, the more he becomes attached to the service of the Lord. Om Gyanantimirindasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshviranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I am just trying to remember what Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj actually said on the appearance day of Lord Balram about how Devki Mata had lost 6 sons prior to the birth of Lord Balram and of course Lord Krishna. And if my memory serves me correctly, he said that the 6 sons that were lost, that had died or were rather killed by Kansa, they represented the senses and the mind. And it paved the way to purify the womb of Mother Devki for the appearance of Lord Baldev. And Sri Baldev came first, because he's always in the mood of serving Krishna. So once this womb had been purified, just as we're supposed to purify our mind and our senses, so Balram came to serve. And I don't want to digress too much, but it's always very lovely to hear more about the appearance of Lord Balram and how he was born 14 months later and how he was transferred to the womb of Rohini. But it's just that we read how Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata also lost 8 daughters before Vishvarupa, who is directly Baldev. He's not an expansion of Lord Baldev. He is actually Lord Baldev himself, came as an older brother once again. before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, is born. And we see also how a materialist, or rather even a mixed devotee, they can be very forgetful of rendering service to Krishna and even forget the source of their happiness too. If they actually get any sort of, if they're put into an opulent position, then the chances are that they could be engrossed so much in a material sense gratification that they actually forget to render service to Krishna, including even forget the source of their opulence. But of course, this is never the case with pure devotees, and we know so many pure devotees who have so much opulence at their disposal, Amrish Maharaj, the Pandavas, but they're never forgetful of rendering service to Krishna. Rather, they are always use the opulence in the service of Krishna, knowing Krishna is the proprietor of everything. I'm just thinking of this verse, akama sarvakamo va moksha kama uddharadiya tivreni bhakti yogena yajite purusham param. Whether one is freed from all material desires or is full of material desires, or whether he wants to become one with the Supreme in Kevalya, liberation, still everyone should engage in bhakti. And the more they engage in bhakti, there's always the chance that they will become, well, it's not a chance, they will become purified, but there's always that opportunity for them to become completely purified and become a complete pure devotee. So the lesson is somehow or another to approach Krishna, and in that way we're always going to have the opportunity to become purified. In fact, I was reading about how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wherever he traveled, crowds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people came, and just by seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by appreciating him, they became ecstatic in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and they actually were delivered. So whether they were sinful or had desires or whatever it may be, just by approaching Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and somehow or another coming into his presence, they had the opportunity to become completely liberated immediately. Hare Krishna.
Good, all good. Prabhupada mentions the common Hindi saying, if I have it transcribed right, Duk mein sab badi bhaje, Sukh mein bhaje na koi, Sukh mein jo badi bhaje, Duk kahe ko hai. I'm not quite sure if that's right, but I've seen it. And yes, essentially, as Prabhupada said, when everything's going fine, then it's all, then we forget about Krishna. And when we're in difficulty, then we're all Krishna conscious. We pray to Bhagavan when we're in difficulty. When the difficulty is removed, we get on with our program of sense gratification. So the saying is to the point. Hare Krishna.
Adi-lila writes, I've heard that Sri Sampradaya doesn't accept Balaram as Vishnu Tattva. Do you know if that is true?
I don't know what the Sri Sampradaya says in that regard.
I'm seeing Radhesha in the participants list, wondering if he's able to read or not.
I only just joined, so I'm not sure where you are, Prabhu.
We, Prabhu, are in Adi-lila, chapter 13, and now we're up to verse number 80.
Adi 13:8. Maybe should I jump on the next round after somebody?
As you like, as you like. Perhaps Philip Prabhu, if you're able to read, you could read text 80 if you like.
My apologies. Unfortunately, I won't be able to read right now, only here.
All right. Ross Prabhu, are you able to read?
Yeah. Yes. 80. Sata Traya Sake Sesha Magamase Jagannath Sajira De Krishnara Pravese. Translation. In the month of January in the year 1406 of the Saka era AD 1485, Lord Krishna entered the bodies of both Jagannath Mishra and Sachi. Purport. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his birth in the year 1407 Saka era AD 1486 in the month of Falguna, but here we see that he entered the bodies of his parents in the year 1406 in the month of Magha. Therefore the Lord entered the bodies of his parents 13 full months before his birth. Generally, a common child remains within the womb of his mother for 10 lunar months, but here we see that the Lord remained within the body of his mother for 13 months.
Thank you for reading, Prabhu Maharaj. Any comments from your side on this phenomenon?
Oh. Long time to carry a child.
At least it wasn't 16 years, as was the case with Swami. So, Radhesha Prabhu, are you prepared to read our text 81
Yes.
and 82 and 83?
Okay. Mishra kahe shachistane deki anarita Jyotirmaya deha geha Lakshmi adhishtita. Jagannath Mishra said to Shachi Mata, I see wonderful things. Your body is effulgent, and it appears as if the goddess of fortune were now staying personally in my home. Yahan tahan sarvaloka kare samana, ghare pataya deya dhana vastra dhana. Anywhere and everywhere I go, all people offer me respect. Even without my asking, they voluntarily give me riches, clothing, and paddy. A Brahmana does not become anyone's servant. To render service to someone else is the business of the Shudras. A Brahmana is always independent because he is a teacher, spiritual master, and advisor to society. The members of society provide him with all the necessities for life. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has divided society into 4 divisions: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. A society cannot run smoothly without this scientific division. A Brahmana should give good advice to all the members of the society. A Kshatriya should look after the administration, law, and order of the society. Vaishyas should produce and trade in all the needs of the society, whereas Shudras should render service to the higher sections of society, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. Jagannath Mishra was a Brahmana. Therefore, people would send him all bodily necessities, money, cloth, grain, and so on. While Lord Chaitanya was in the womb of Shachi Mata, Jagannath Mishra received all these necessities of life without asking for them. Because of the presence of the Lord in his family, everyone offered him due respect as a Brahmana. In other words, if a Brahmana or Vaishnava sticks to his position as an eternal servant of the Lord and executes the will of the Lord, there is no question of scarcity for his personal maintenance or the needs of his family. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Guru Dasa Jayadvaita Swaminiti Namine. I was thinking of this quality of Brahmanness, Dvijatva Jayate in their Nam. People in general, through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they can turn even the most sinful people into the qualities of Brahman through Diksha Vidhanena, through this process of initiation, just as gold is turned is produced from Kangxiang and Rasa Vidhanata, the mixture of bell metal and mercury. You can produce gold. So the quality of a Brahmin is there for the Vaishnava. And Srila Prabhupada says that if a Vaishnava sticks, or a Brahmana or a Vaishnava sticks to his position as an eternal servant of the Lord and executes the will of the Lord, there's no question of scarcity for his personal maintenance or the needs of his family. That's very a deep sense of solace for those of us in the Grahastha ashram as Vaishnavas and so-called Brahmanas. Yeah, I'm very appreciative of that promise by the Lord. The last name Mishra, of course, being a very exalted Brahmin family. And later in the Adi-lila, I know Pradyumna Mishra comes to Mahaprabhu and says, can you please speak about Krishna? And Mahaprabhu emphasizes actually the quality of I'm trying to remember exactly what the verse says. It says something along the lines of, just to teach the renunciants and Brahmanas a lesson, he sends him to Ramananda Roy, who's a Kayastha, which we read previously is considered a Shudra, although the Kayasthas were highly intelligent, so often given positions of managerial administration, so kind of like a Kshatriya. But because they were accustomed to eating meat and drinking wine, they're considered Shudras. But Ye Krishna Tattvaveta Se Guru Hoy, Ramananda Roy was the highest, most advanced, knowledgeable person in the science of Krishna, and therefore he was qualified to teach Pradyumna Mishra. And of course, the whole pastime is there where Pradyumna Mishra goes and sees him. He's massaging the bodies of the dancers, and he returns and tells Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu glorifies Ramananda Roy. How amazing, even if I think of women. But I'm going a little astray from the topic at hand. But the point being is that a Vaishnava is higher even than these four divisions. And Srila Prabhupada brings that in at the end of the purport, that if we're sticking to the service of the Lord, then there's no question of scarcity. Yogakshemam vahamyaham. Krishna provides what we lack, maintains what we have, and provides what we lack. Anywhere and everywhere I go, all people offer me respect. Even without my asking, they voluntarily give me riches, clothing, and paddy. And it appears as if the goddess of fortune were now staying personally in my home. So wonderful. Guru Maharaj?
Prabhupada says this in several places in his books, and it's there in Bhagavatam, that the Brahmin doesn't take a position of employee. He remains independent. As a teacher, in emergency, he may take on the profession of a Kshatriya or even a Vaishya, but he doesn't accept the engagement of employee. And here it's what should we say? It's a real qualification of the Brahmins that they have this confidence. Rakshasyati Vishvasho Utritve Varanam Tata. That Krishna will maintain me. I just have to perform my duty, and Krishna will see to it. He's seeing to the provision for all the living entities and all the different species of life. So why not for me? So in this way, the Brahmins would be independent. They would teach. They would render service as priests, so on. But they didn't accept employment. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We have a couple things happening. Saraswati Mata's first had her hand up.
Maharaj, I have a question. We know that Sri Raghunath Das's father and uncle, they were such incredible devotees and very generous. They provided all the necessities to the Brahmanas. They even worshipped Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's maternal grandfather, Nilambara Chakravarti, and even provided necessities to Jagannath Mishra. So from this, it appears as if they are pure devotees, but then I don't understand why Sri Raghunath Dasa, he had to come up with some tricks to try and escape this family of pure devotees and the bodyguards that were there. I don't understand. He already was born in a family of pure devotees. So I'm not understand why there had to be this ruse in order to try and get him out of this family situation. Hare Krishna.
They were attached. He was the only son. This is, they were millionaires essentially, and they had one son only, and he was the one to take over the business, we would say, in modern discourse. So they, what's going to happen, and then naturally they were, so they were thinking in this way. Therefore, in one place, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to Raghunath that don't mind, but your father and uncle are like worms in stool, simply attached to family life. So it goes both ways. They were great devotees, and they financed, they were very charitable to the Vaishnavas and so on. And yet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave that comment and still we see that there'll be devotees, and they're pure devotees. They're always engaged in the service of the Lord, and yet they're always asking, can my son get married? Can you find him a suitable girl? It's so important that he get married. Very rare to find. Can you make sure that my son stays brahmachari? That we don't find so often. So even among the, you could say, the pure devotees, sometimes these things are there. Hare Krishna.
On a side note, I think they were also kayastha. Not that it matters, not Vaishnava Jati, but here we shouldn't see them in some particular family. But just interestingly, on a side note, so many exalted Vaishnavas came from this kayastha class.
Also, while I'm thinking of it, going back a topic, Prabhupada was asked by Dr. Bose to join his laboratory. And at first, Prabhupada was reluctant. He refused because he didn't want to be employed. But then Dr. Bose said, no, you're like my son. So it's not employee, just like the son business is not an employee. He's the son, or you could say the heir to the fortune. So in that way, Prabhupada was persuaded. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu writes, here we see Prabhupada equating the Vaishnava as a Brahmin, more specifically living the occupation of a Brahmin. Is it correct understanding?
He may not exactly have, he's better than Brahmin, that's certainly correct. But by occupation, he may not be acting as a Brahmin. He may be acting just like Kolavecha Sridhar. So he was selling banana leaves, banana leaf cups. So that's not a Brahminical occupation. That's the occupation of a Vaishya, selling the products of agriculture. So from that angle, Guna Karma Vipagasha, by his karma, he was a Vaishya, but he was a Vaishnav. So Vaishnav is above even the Brahmins. Hope that answers.
Purna Madhavi Mataji writes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, did Prahlad Maharaj also stay in the womb for some 1,000 years? Does this special arrangement to remain in womb for Lord and his pure devotees indicative to general populace that this birth won't be ordinary, or there is more spiritual aspect to this arrangement?
Certainly not ordinary. That's That's for sure. Mothers in ISKCON can be thankful of that. They wouldn't have to carry a child for 13 months or 16 years. It's certainly extraordinary.
All right, we're towards the end of our time. It is time for Kirtan. Radhesha Prabhu, can you help us in this regard?
Yeah. But would it be possible as one very quick, or was that announcement final? I had one kind of quick question, if I may. This concept of maintaining us, and maybe this is well tread path and it doesn't need to be embarked upon. But the not needing to worry about the Lord maintaining us, it almost seems like the dependence upon the Lord is so profound that whether he maintains us or not, the Brahmin isn't lamenting. The quality of lamentation is for the Shudras, lamenting and desiring. But the Brahmanas, they may be maintained or may not be maintained. Or, what is that level of maintenance that we're talking about? Kolavecha Sridhar, for example, he's maybe not Brahmin by occupation, but certainly he's a Vaishnava. He's not really being maintained all that well. He's got one piece of cloth, or Sudama Brahmana. There's just so many people who aren't really being maintained all that well, and so I was just.
It doesn't have to be maintained all that well. Brahmin is satisfied, whatever he gets. All right. Yarichta Lava Santushta. He's satisfied with whatever comes. Otherwise, he's not a Brahmin. The Brahmin, a Vaishya can't be, or Kshatriya won't be satisfied. Just what comes. He wants to make more. He wants to control more. It's not peaceful. It's that Dhruv no, I know what you're saying is right, but I want a kingdom. So that mentality is there, but for a genuine Brahmin, all right, this is what I got.
Then why this specific focus on there's no question of scarcity? And contextually, Jagannath Mishra is receiving so many gifts, and this happens so many times where Srila Prabhupada mentions there's no question of scarcity, and yet very often the question of scarcity does seem to come into play, but from the Vaishnava side or from the Brahmana side, that scarcity doesn't affect them. But what's the point of saying that there won't be scarcity when so often we do see scarcity?
Yeah, good question. But for the Brahmin, it's enough. I got this much, so where's the scarcity? We got some food, we got a place to stay. All right. He sees the only scarcity is the scarcity of Krishna consciousness.
Srimad Bhagavatam is our wealth. When we have Srimad Bhagavatam, what question is there of scarcity?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Oh, there's one comment. Pritipurna Madhavi Mata says, in some temples, many times charity is used by the devotees to dress themselves in an extravagant way or increase their lifestyle more than to serve the devotees and the temple. Is that acceptable if the deity is served nicely and the rest is spent on themselves?
No, it's all supposed to be spent on the deity, not that the pujaris will live extravagantly at the expense of the deity. That's not very much appreciated. The servant just takes as much as he needs. He doesn't doesn't say, well, master's rich, so let me deck myself out. No. There's something about that. Yeah, in any case, no. It's not very much appreciated. But if he serves the deity nicely, then he'll get whatever he needs. He'll get whatever he needs. He doesn't have to take more. Hare Krishna. Magrudan Krishna. Oh, I know there was another point that I wanted to make, that the charity was given to the Brahmins. Notice, not to the Shudras, as being the most Desha Kala Patra. Patra means suitable recipients, especially means the Brahmins, the twice born, the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas. They're the right. And charity should be, that culture needs to be developed, that the Brahmins should be endowed with charity. Then there'll be no scarcity. Those who are earning good money should be giving charity, but not to feed the bums, but to see that the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas have everything they need. Hare Krishna. Can you chant?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Stotra Shata Shishama Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Stotra Shata Shishama Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Thank you, Radhesha Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj Ki Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks all.